Hey guys, today we're going to be tearing apart this old carbon monoxide sensor. I know, sounds boring, but we'll see if there's any useful parts we can steal from it, and I'll show you, I guess, what you can take. You can see from this wire hang here, I'm using a different soldering iron as my current one that I normally use is from Princess Auto, and it's a piece of crap. That's like a hardware store in Canada. They sell all sorts of surplus things. That's also where this one came from. It was only $6, so it's a replacement for now until I get a new soldering station. I also have my iFixit toolkit, 2 different types of wire cutters. One of the ones for cutting flat, and then the other kind. Also, got some flux and desoldering braid, also from Princess Auto, that isn't the best. So, let's crack into this thing and see what we can take. So now the first question is how to actually get into it. And we're in. So the display is just held on by that connector. And I did turn this thing on just briefly, and I saw that it lit up, so it has a blue backlight, and it has a 7-segment display, 3-digit one, with some words on the top and on the bottom. So I'll have to hook this up to my Arduino and see if we can get anything out of it. Next, you can see we've got some kind of possibly backup battery or capacitor. So let's get into this thing further. I can hear my scanner going off again. So we'll take off the power supply cable. And you can see that it outputs 12 volts DC at 150 milliamps. So that might be handy. I'll just keep that, set it off to the side in the keep pile. Now we can make our way further in. Bend this out here, and there we go. So these will get put in my recycling bin. So set them on the floor for now. The next time I go outside, they'll go up there. So we have these nice clicky switches. So I have to look, are they surface mount? Okay, no. So they're through hole. And we got this big capacitor here. And this actually appears to be either a battery or a capacitor. And then we have this buzzer, along with some sort of IC underneath. So we'll have to have a look at that. And appears my camera was out of focus, so sorry about that. Let's see about taking off the buzzer. So now I started desoldering this. Wow, so this soldering iron has been heating up for a while. It melts the solder away pretty quick. So I might not even need to use desoldering braid. Or wick, or whatever you want to call it. So I don't care if I break this, so I'm not going to be careful. So we got the one pin already out. So now we'll heat up this one. Got it out. And now the last one. So that was rather simple. So here's I'll set this soldering iron off to the side. I don't want that to burn some stuff, but So I'm not an expert on ICs, but I'll probably look it up and put a brief description here of what it is. And there's a train, so it's just waiting. You can also see there's a coil here and some more capacitors. There's some tiny, looks like maybe MOSFETs there. So I think the only other things I'll end up taking from here are these switches. They're the only things I seem to have a use for. So I'll get a Sharpie quick. I will mark the right pins to desolder. I have ended up in the past desoldering the wrong components, as I've thought they were in the right spot, but I just soldered something else off for no reason. It's not like it caused any damage, because I was probably taking apart something that was broken or junk. And I might have circled... No, there's another switch. So this we probably will need the desoldering braid for. So get some flux on it, because I find that works better, and I'll zoom the camera out so you can see what I'm doing better. Just dip that in there. Now we'll take this soldering iron, we'll start desoldering. Appears to be coming out, but I don't want to break it, so we'll do some more desoldering. So I'll just dip the soldering iron in the flux so I can get more on the wick itself, and then I don't care if I wreck these pads, but I'll try just to bend these legs up with the soldering iron. There. Now I was looking for the sponge that my desoldering station has to cool off the soldering tip. Oh, I've been pulling it the wrong one the whole time. That's why it wasn't coming off. There we go. Now it's come right out. So I'm gonna quickly grab a magnetic dish that I realize still has some screws in it. So I don't really care if they're still in there. Must be from something not too important. Let's turn this and you can see what I've collected in the end. And snip off this used up desoldering wick, and it shot on the floor. So now we'll take off the next switch. This position. I don't know how well you can see. Now this is by no means a guide on how to solder. I'm this is just the way I find works for me. There we go. That might be good. And there we go. Focus. We got another switch out of this deal. So these little switches are always handy for projects, just a off-on switch. So now, is there anything else I want from this? I really don't think so. I don't think I need these capacitors, because depending on the age of this thing, it could have the bad caps that leak, like the kind that are in, if I move my camera, the Macintosh Classic. Because I haven't had to replace the caps on mine yet, but it's only a matter of time. So, yeah, you can see that maybe the higher end models, there's more connectors. So, I actually might take that battery, my scanner again, or the power connector off, because that could be useful for some project at some point in time. And couldn't see what I was doing because it was off camera. There we go. I just mostly pushed it out with my soldering iron. Oh, there's my pliers. So here's the connector, if you can see. Don't want any of those surface mount capacitors and resistors, because that's not very useful for me. The coil, I don't think I'd have a use for. So yeah, there's not really much you can get out of these things. I'll see if I can get this display to work though. So I'll clean this mess up and I'll be back with the Arduino and hopefully a data sheet for this. Okay, so a quick look at this display shows that with the quality control was made in March of 2011. So the capacitors that were inside the unit could have been fine, but I don't really have a use for them. Well, I couldn't find the data sheet for this display, so we'll have to plug it onto the breadboard and have some messing around with it. But first, I'm gonna have to take off for my last project the components. As you can see, if you guys haven't seen, well, you would have seen this in the intro. Plug it into my battery pack and I'll just give you a quick look if you didn't see it somehow. So I'll plug this in. And it's upside down. So let's flip it. See, it says subscribe, so if you haven't already, take it to word and do subscribe. No, there's a little button right there. Right about there. So yeah, time to take this off, because I had it hooked up with this touch sensor to do other stuff, but I just made it like this for my intro. So now, so unplug the Arduino from the battery pack that has a Raspberry Pi 4 on the top of it from a different project I was messing around with, a portable live streaming camera that I may or may not put the link for in the description so you can watch it. It won't always be on, but it will at some point or another be on. So now we've got all these components off. We'll set these to the side. I got some of these other style of connectors that have the both ends on them. These ones are still all stuck together, so that'll be handy because they're new ones. So we'll just plug them on. So now let's get my helping hand things. You can see if I move the camera, hold the display. My throat is getting dry. I'm getting thirsty actually, but I'll suffer through and continue on. So actually I want to flip this upside down. Yeah. Oh. I'll just connect some stuff now to the breadboard. So, oh, did you see that flash? I'm not sure if it did. Maybe I was just seeing some things, but we'll have to go back in the edit and have a look. Okay, so my piece of crap phone ran out of storage, but we'll continue where we were at. Just trying to test out this display. We'll just connect our 10 volts here, and you can see we're getting something with not even a ground, so that's... So now we have it running just off of a ground. Now you can hear my computer fan just going crazy for no reason, really, because it's old. Mid-2012 MacBook Pro. Yeah, I really wish I had a data sheet for this to figure out how to use it, because I'm totally lost here. So yeah, I really don't know what I'm doing with this. See if we can at least get the backlight to turn on. Okay, there, I think we just burnt the backlight out. Yeah, backlight's burned out now. So this is basically garbage, unless you know what you're doing with it and find a data sheet, which I could not. So were there any useless parts from this carbon monoxide sensor? Well, I'll show you what we got that I think I'll actually use. This, really, I probably won't use it. It'll end up getting put in the recycling or garbage or something. And then we got 2 switches and this power supply. So really, is it good to take one of these apart? In my opinion, no. You only get 2 switches. And that IC, which could be the LCD driver. Yeah, it's not worth the time or the effort. And the use of your desoldering wick and some flux. So, in my opinion, don't take one of these apart. Just recycle it. But if you need some components that you saw, then I guess, but if you're just doing it for fun like I am, there's no point, because there's nothing good in it. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.